Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to the Think and Grow Thin webinar, where you will learn how your mindset creates your results. Are you in the right place? Is this time that you're going to spend here a good use of your time? Let's see. This webinar is for you if you get excited every time you see a new easy diet. You know the ones I'm talking about, ladies. You're in the grocery store checkout line and you're surrounded by magazines. And there's always at least one that has on the front cover, you can crash off 10 pounds in 1 week, or the new cucumber diet melts fat. And they also have on the front of that magazine a beautiful, delicious looking dessert. So you buy the magazine and you do the diet and you lose a couple of pounds. And then you do the dessert and you undo the diet. This webinar is for you if every time you lose a few pounds, you gain them right back. If you are tired of the yo-yo game, up and down, and if you have had it with diets and you're ready to give up, well, let me tell you, ladies, don't give up. There is hope. But before we get into any of that, who am I and why should you listen to me? Well, my name is Robin Joy. I am a certified life coach, a certified hypnotherapist, and more than any of that, I am a recovered yo-yo dieter. I used to do that, ladies. I did a diet several times. It was called the Crash Off 10 Pounds in 1 Week diet. For breakfast, you had half grapefruit and a cup of black coffee. For lunch, you had a half a grapefruit, a half a head of iceberg lettuce, and a cup of black coffee. For dinner, you would have a half a grapefruit, quarter of a head of lettuce, and a cup of black coffee. And that was just about it for a week. Not healthy. By the end of the week, I was getting muscle cramps and bone aches. There just is not enough nutrition in that diet. And I didn't even lose 10 pounds. I lost like 7. And, then you get off the diet and you start eating and comes back. So the first thing I want to talk to you about today is words. Why are words important? Well, everyone knows that words communicate ideas. Some people realize that words create pictures in your mind. Almost no one realizes the impact that words have on your subconscious mind. I'm going to illustrate this for you by telling you a story about Tim and Rex. Tim is a duck hunter, and Rex is his faithful companion retriever. Tim and Rex got up early Saturday morning to go out to the duck pond, and they got comfortable in the duck blind, and they waited. Rex was so excited. He couldn't wait for the ducks to come, and Tim would fire a shot, and the command to run would come, and he would go and fetch that duck. So they sat and they waited. Finally, they heard the ducks coming in, quack, 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 flying in over the pond. And bang! Rex was so excited, but the command to run never came. Rex was so disappointed. He couldn't believe that Tim missed every duck in the flock. Now I have a question for you. What do you see in this picture? If you're like most of us, you see a duck. Now I have another story. This one is about Susie and her Easter bunny. Susie is an adorable 4-year-old little girl, and she is so excited this Easter because her mommy and daddy told her that she would be allowed to have her very own live Easter bunny. So Easter morning, Susie got up extra early and she started looking for her Easter basket. She looked in the living room, but no basket, no bunny. Next, she looked in the dining room. She looked under the china cabinet. She looked under the table. She looked everywhere she could think of, and still no bunny. And Susie had one more idea: the backyard. She went out in the backyard, and there, underneath the picnic table, was her Easter basket with her very own Easter bunny. Susie was so excited. She picked up her bunny and she hugged him and kissed him, and she was just so happy with her Easter bunny. I have another question for you. What do you see in this picture? Right? Your subconscious mind is so powerful. Words create pictures in your mind. Based on those pictures, your subconscious mind creates filters. That's why most people, when we just heard the story about Tim and Rex and the ducks, and you saw that picture, most people saw a duck. And then the story of Susie and her Easter bunny, and most people will have seen a bunny. Those filters decide what you see. So it's not just stories, it's pretty much your entire life. What you are thinking about the most is what your mind allows you to see. And that, ladies, is called your mindset. The mind creates associations. So when you're thinking about something, it causes you to feel a certain way because those thoughts are associated with those feelings. Based on those feelings, we take actions. Based on those actions, we get results. So it's like this. If I had a friend named Tim, and Tim was a duck hunter, and I just heard that story, and I don't like the idea of killing ducks because I think they're beautiful animals, then maybe I felt a little irritated or some unpleasant emotion. And then Tim calls me and says, "Hey, my wife and I are having a picnic this weekend. We'd love for you and your husband to come." But I am feeling uncomfortable because of the story that I just heard and thinking about Tim killing ducks. So my action based on those feelings may be to be like, well, I'll think about it, and just not being nice. And the result of that action could be a rift in my friendship with Tim and his wife. On the other hand, the story about Susie and her Easter bunny, well, if I just heard that story and I am feeling so happy and pleasant and joyful, and then my granddaughter comes over and she is an adorable little 3-year-old, but I am feeling good because of the story. The actions I would take based on those feelings would be something pleasant. I would want to hug my granddaughter. I would want to give her a present. I would want to help her to feel happier in whatever way I could. And the results of those actions would be a more positive relationship with my granddaughter. Stephen Covey says, "You are free to choose your actions. You are not free, however, to choose the results of those actions." Scientists say that we think upwards of 60,000 thoughts a day. That was a lot of noise with those thought bubbles coming up, wasn't it? And that's what our thoughts can be like sometimes. We're thinking different things and they're causing us to feel different ways. And that's a lot of thinking going on. But the problem is that most of those thoughts are the same thoughts we thought yesterday. And what happens then? It creates neural pathways in our brains. Whenever you think a thought, It creates a connection between one synapse and another in your brain. And the more often you think that thought, the more often those synapses connect, and the deeper and easier that pathway is to run. So, what about weight loss? What does all of this have to do with weight loss? Well, first of all, based on what the subconscious mind does, I personally hate the term weight loss because the subconscious mind equates loss with pain. Think about it. How do you feel if you lose an expensive piece of jewelry or something that has great sentimental value to you? What if you lose your wallet or you lose a loved one? How do you feel? You feel sad, maybe angry. It is not pleasant to think about loss. Weight is the only place that I know of where we try to associate loss with pleasure. And guess what? The subconscious mind doesn't agree. And what the subconscious mind does when you lose something is it tries to help you to find it again. You ever lose someone you loved? And then for a while, maybe weeks or months, you're out in public and you're looking around and you think you see that person, you catch a glimpse, but no, you know they're gone. This is what the subconscious mind does. It tries to help you find what was lost. So, what can we do about this? What if we change the words to weight release? Because if we release it with appreciation and love and gratitude, then the subconscious mind is not searching for it to bring it back, because love and gratitude are pleasant feelings. So the subconscious mind is okay with them. And how do we release weight with love and gratitude? Well, it's because understanding there are a lot of different reasons why our bodies hold on to weight. One of them could be that our bodies are toxic. We have too many toxins circulating in our system. And while our liver tries to filter all of these things out and process them and excrete them from the body, if we are overloaded, if the liver is overloaded, it can't do its job. So what our body does then is takes those toxins and stuffs them inside fat cells. And then when we lose weight, when we go on a diet, our body is reluctant to release that fat because it knows that it will release the toxins back into our bodies. So when we realize that, we can say, body, thank you for protecting us. Thank you for taking care of us. Oh, another word is diet. What do you think of when you hear the word diet? Deprivation and control. Deprivation is a very strong emotion. Deprivation can lead to thoughts of death, because back in the day before mechanical irrigation, if there was a drought, your plants start to die, animals start to die. Sorry, my dog heard something. And then what happens? So diet equals deprivation and control. The emotion of deprivation causes us to fear for our lives. And control. None of us like to be controlled. We want to make our own decisions. And even if you're trying to control yourself, the subconscious mind does not like being controlled. So we have all these things working against us every time we are going on a diet. What if we change that word to lifestyle? Because lifestyle equals freedom and choice. So if you have just a healthy lifestyle and you eat things that are healthy, like 90% of the time, then let's say you're at a party and there's pizza and potato chips and birthday cake and ice cream. And if you're on a diet, then you have to say, no, I can't have that. I'm on a diet. But if you just have a healthy lifestyle, you can say, yes, I will have a slice of pizza because it tastes good. And there is no beating up of the self because it was a conscious choice. And if you choose not to have the pizza, then it is still a choice and it is not control and it is not fighting against yourself. You simply made a choice that feels good to you. So, ladies, think about what you're thinking about because every thought you think creates a synaptic connection. And when you think it more and more frequently, it becomes easier and easier to think it. You've heard the phrase stuck in a rut. This is the rut in your mind that keeps you thinking the same way over and over. You know, one of the definitions of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. You have to change your thoughts. You have to think different things. And when you think these new things often enough, guess what? Your subconscious mind gets used to it, your mindset shifts, and things are much easier. Your mindset creates your results. So where do we go from here? One place you could go is my Breaking the Diet Cycle workshop. During this workshop, you will identify what drives your eating. You will receive practical tools to handle cravings in the moment. You will learn how to work with cravings instead of fighting against them. And you will receive simple awareness tools that you can use every day. Any questions, any comments? Contact me. My contact information. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Many blessings.